Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
For every veteran, there is a story about a calling to serve, to fight for the freedoms of the American people. And every story has a struggle, a sacrifice, and invisible wounds. Warrior Watts programs help veterans recover from PTSD and invisible wounds through exercise, nutrition, and connecting with other veteran leaders. It is estimated that 22 veterans die each day by suicide, and another 30 veterans die each day by substance abuse. These are preventable deaths. Warrior Watt is committed to fighting PTSD through fitness, nutrition, and community. Got the privilege and opportunity to support our heroes in their time of need. Will you join us and take action?
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to our Thursday after dinner show. Thanks for taking some of your time tonight to hang out with us and get some information from another great guest. The first update on what was going on at JBLM. They believe it was just a hoax with the active shooter situation there. So hopefully that's all it was, a hoax, a false alarm. And they said no shots were fired, so that's a good thing as well. So our next guest received her M.F.A. from Iowa Writers Workshop, her B.A. Summa Cum Laude from Harvard University, and her M.Phil in creative writing from Trinity College in Dublin, where she was a U.S. Mitchell Scholar. She's the author of the poetry collection, When the Men Go Off to War. Her fiction and poetry have appeared in the anthologies Best American Poetry 2013, Contemporary American Poetry, as well as Alaska Quarterly Review, Southwest Review, Prairie Schooner, and North American Review. She now lives in Virginia with her husband and daughters. So without further ado, let's welcome author Victoria Kelly to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, Victoria.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
It's great to have you here. I'm sorry we didn't get to connect before the show because I do some stuff right in the last minute. There's when you got on, but we're here now. We can chat for the next however long we go with this. But I gave basically a 2-sentence intro on you there. Tell the audience a little more about you from as far back as you want to go to how we got here.
Yeah, so I'm a writer, I'm an author and poet. I have 3 books. My most recent book is called Homefront. It just came out about a month ago. And it's a short fiction collection about women who have been impacted by the military in different ways. And so that book was inspired by my 10 years that I spent as the wife of an active duty fighter pilot in the Navy. And yeah, just going through multiple deployments, raising kids, and the highs and lows of that whole life. So yeah, so I wrote the stories over about a 10-year period, and yeah, excited that the book is finally out. And yeah, it's been a long and complicated road. So
Definitely. And your schooling takes you basically on a road trip that most people dream of taking from Midwest US, East Coast US, into Europe, of course. And now you're back in the US. So you got to travel a lot during this time as well while going to school. And of course, while you were with your husband while he was serving, I know Navy doesn't move around as much as we do in the Army. Sometimes they get to stay at one place for a
mhm.
lot, but they also get to move as well. But what was the most I guess challenge part of going to school while getting all that stuff together and having a family as well?
Well, I was lucky because I was able to do all the school and travel before I got married. So so in a way I had all of my like life adventures up front. So so yeah, I mean I was able to go all over Europe. Once you're living over there in some country, it's a lot cheaper to travel around Europe. So so that was amazing. And after I graduated from my M.F.A program at Iowa was when I got married. And yeah, I mean, we did a lot of traveling with the military. I mean, flight training takes you all over the place. And so, we were we lived in several different states. But then I also had the chance to go on port calls to the Middle East. I was in Dubai. I got to go to Bahrain. So yeah, so I've been lucky to be able to see all of that. Now I don't really travel that much anymore. I have children and life. So yeah, I always say I got my adventures, in when I was really young.
And that's to do you to spread your wings before you, I guess, settle down and don't do it at the same time. So you're not regretting anything while you're doing it. You live
Yeah.
basically 2 chapters of your life, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's
Did
good
you?
inspiration for writing. So,
Yes.
all the different places show up in the book. So, yeah, they're all in there in some way.
And if you ever want to do a fiction book, you have all those destinations you can do within one fiction book with a fictional character
Oh yeah.
based on your life events.
Yep, that's it. That's right.
Those- your inner circle.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, did you always want to be a writer, or something you just clicked when you like came out of high school? I want to study to be a writer in college, and then go forth with that, or maybe someone influenced you.
I wanted to be a writer when I was young, and then when I got to college, I thought, well, that's not practical. So and so I actually was planning to be a lawyer. I really had my heart set on going into international law, and I was majoring in English, but then I was all minoring in international relations. So I did some study abroad programs and studying for the LSAT. I took the LSAT, and just after I took that test, I just broke down crying. I realized I was so miserable. I did not want to be a lawyer. So so I changed paths like my senior year in college, and I just decided to apply for bunch of scholarships to Europe, and I was like, I'm going to go to Europe. And so that's how I ended up in Ireland, and that was for writing. And then things just kind of fell into place like that. I mean, I feel like we kind of end up where we're supposed to be, and I think I definitely was not supposed to be a lawyer. So and then after that, I ended up I got into the role of being a military spouse, and that really actually aligns pretty well with writing because you're traveling a lot. It's not necessarily the best place to be doing like a serious full-time job when you have to leave a year later. Well, that was it. Now it's a lot better with remote work, but like back then, remote work was not a thing. So so that kind of limited my options a lot. So yeah, I just was able to focus on writing. And yeah, and then then here I am. So
And it's all when your husband's away on those missions where you can't be with him, you can't go to port calls. Writing is a good escape while he's
oh
gone
yeah.
doing that stuff. Writing helps you just go into a tunnel and kind of just escape into your words, and then wait for that scheduled call or unscheduled call that you don't want to get. But usually the scheduled call that you guys planned on when he gets back from a mission to give you a call, like, hey, I'm good, everything went great, and I'm sure that helps you out a lot.
Yeah, I actually wrote my first book during his first deployment. So, that was, yeah, I mean, I really used like art and writing as my outlet. And so I just wrote about how, what I was experiencing, and that was a really wonderful way to kind of get through that year. So, so I came out of it with something really tangible, which was nice.
Tell us a little about Homefront Stories. Maybe share a couple of the stories with the audience. Let get a grasp of it, and maybe that'll cause them to go out there and run out there and get it for you.
Yeah, so I should say none of the stories are real. They're fictional. I mean, the things that happened did not happen to me, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on the story. But yeah, I mean, the setting is all based on real places. I mean, there's some that take place in Virginia Beach, Florida, Ireland, all over the place. And so that really inspired me. And then the characters, are kind of just mashups of people that who I've known, and so there's a lot of reality sprinkled in with a lot of fiction. So one of my so I think one of the most popular stories has been one where it's takes place in Virginia Beach, where a Navy spouse is living alone while her husband is deployed, and she suspects that her next door neighbor, whose husband is on the same squadron, might be having an affair with another man, and she's not sure. And this story is kind of about this period of uncertainty, and trying to investigate what's really going on, and should she say something, um and just bringing up all these feelings about maybe her own relationship and marriage, and is her marriage worthy of trust and loyalty, and so it's kind of like uh a way for her to be introspective about her own self and relationship while she's playing investigator with her next door neighbor. So that's one of them. Another one, I'd say the one that was closest to a real, based on something that really happened, was about when I went to Dubai on a port call, and this was kind of at the height of everything going on in Afghanistan. And I met my husband, and we were out shopping in the kind of the old part of the city, and he recognized that some of the vendors were Afghani. And in Dubai, there's a lot of immigrants from other places, and they come to work, and they're from all over the place. And so he got a little nervous, like, you never really know, like, what's somebody's situation back home. I mean, we're like in the middle of a war with Afghanistan. And he had to get money out of an ATM to pay for something. And so they took him into this like kind of back alley. And he told me this afterward because I stayed kind of out in the street. But started to come really close to him, and he thought like maybe he was in danger. And he turns around and he realized that there were a bunch of men behind them who were basically trying to rob him, and these Afghan men were actually protecting him. And so that became a story of its own, and it just really made me reflect on, identity, and like, the fact that nothing is ever black and white, and we don't really know who somebody is based on where they're from, or and so that's another favorite of mine, because I feel like that was just kind of an important point in like my own journey, of writing, and just the experience in the military and all of that.
Definitely, that one's kind of close to home too, so it kind of gets
Yeah.
to the stinger a little bit. And yeah, like you said, that you don't judge it by the being a writer. Don't judge a book by its cover. So it's the best thing to look at life that way. Don't just walk down the street and judge people based on the perception of who they are and what they might be doing. Maybe talk to them. They'll let you know right away if they're nefarious or not. The Afghan people most likely will try to sell you everything that they had on them, and then try to purchase, because that's their way of bartering, is to try to upsell you somehow. But that's something I learned down the streets over there, that they will try to sell you everything in front of them and then upcharge you as you go, kind of like the
Yeah.
car dealer here charging you for dealer prep, but they do it differently.
Yeah, and you do realize, like, I think you have it ingrained in you, like, don't trust anyone, right? Like, I mean, there's like espionage going on all over the place, and I don't think people realize, but you get, even the spouses, get trained on how to, not what not to talk about and who not to talk to, and could really be like the person in the mall, trying to get information, and all that stuff happens. So, yeah, and so I think trust is like a big thing, and I think it's a hard thing because you really never know who to trust. So
Exactly, and a lot of times the spouse, especially of officers and pilots, high-ranking officers, pilots, especially, will get targeted because they think you guys have information, or they'll use you as leverage against them or against the squadron or whatever. So you guys have to really be on your toes, and without even knowing, not signing up for it, but signing into it by getting married with it. So it's a little different world for you guys.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
And we expect to get honeypotted or whatever happens when we go overseas, but that's not something that you should have to worry about, but it does happen.
Oh yeah, yeah, and now especially with all of like the online presence, and social media, and all of that. I mean, it's almost impossible to keep your military affiliation out of some sort of internet presence. And so and I tried, but now I've written these books, so that's really impossible. But yeah, I mean, I think that like brings a whole nother layer into it for sure.
So you have two books out now, right now, plus all the reviews you were in. What's your next writing going to be? Is it going to be another collection of writing, or is it going to be a full blown out fictional book?
Yeah, so actually Homefront is my third book. I have a poetry collection about my deployment experiences, and then I have a novel called Mrs. Houdini, that was published a few years ago, and that's a historical fiction novel about the wife of Harry Houdini trying to communicate with him after he died. They had a pact that they would, whoever died first would come back and communicate with the other. So that book, yeah, going off into a different vein, but that one was a lot of fun to write. And my next book, I'm working on nonfiction, so it's a little bit of a memoir, but also kind of exploring the intersection of different faiths and spirituality, and the some of the ways that they overlap, which I think was inspired a lot by all the places I've traveled and lived in, and just meeting people of different faiths, and all the fascination that I've had with that.
And do you have a timeline for that one, or is it just as you get it going and get it finished?
It's as I get it going. I mean, I'd love to finish it this year, but life sometimes gets in the way, but I'm working on it.
Sometimes the schedule is not just your schedule. So especially when you
Yeah.
have little ones in the house, their
Yeah,
social calendar becomes their social calendar. So, and that's going to happen for a long time.
that's right.
And hopefully you're getting used to it now, and you'll be able to juggle all that stuff as you move forward. And we can't wait to see the next book come out. Is there a strategy you use when writing? Like when you do have a block of time, do you say X amount of words or just go with the flow?
I don't do that. I know a lot of people do. The only thing that I need is um at least an hour of quiet time. So that's like my
Yeah.
only requirement is like you got to get in the zone, and it's really hard to do that if like, kids are talking, or you've getting messages from work or whatever. So I always just try and set aside that time when I know that I can have at least an hour of quiet. So that's my only thing. I don't care where I am or what, I can work anywhere. I work in my closet actually in the middle of all my clothes, and yeah, it's just that quiet time.
Quiet, enclosed place. That's awesome.
Yep, exactly.
You gotta hide whenever you can, I guess. So that's awesome. When if you had to give advice to people that will want to get into writing and really want to professionally, I guess, pursue it, what three bits of advice would you give them as they move forward?
I would first say to I think taking a class or a workshop is just really beneficial. I mean, I've taken so many, and it's really hard because you're putting yourself out there. But I think it gets easier every time. So one organization that I volunteer with is called the Armed Services Arts Partnership. It's based in DC, but they have virtual classes so people from anywhere can take it, and they give free creative writing and comedy classes to veterans and active duty and their spouses. So that's an amazing resource. I love them. Actually, I'm part of my royalties from this book is going to that organization. And so I think that's a wonderful way to start because you're among, people who have had similar experiences, and there's no judgment at all. So I think that's my first one. And my second one would be don't be afraid of rejection. Rejection will happen. Like it happens to me all the time. And I've been writing for 20 years. So, and that's a hard one because like rejection hurts like every time, it really does not get easier. But if you kind of imagine and know that everyone else is facing it too, you only see about the people people's success stories, but you really don't see like the 10 failures they had before that success story. And so I'd say that's another one. And then a third one I think is um try and do it for yourself and not so much like for an audience or for like publication or for like what you're getting at the end product. I mean, I think that's another hard one, but if you're doing it because you enjoy it, it's and you remind yourself like that you're doing it because you're enjoying it, not because you're trying to get something out of it. I think it makes it a lot easier.
As three great pieces of advice. Class work, so I hear that a lot from writers because it does take you out of your comfort zone. You're not just sitting in front of your computer or in your however you your stuff. Just you and that. You have people that actually read it, or you read to them when you've written. So you have to get that instant feedback and kind of get that punch in the chest and say, hey, maybe you're not doing things the way you should, and straighten it out and get better. And of course, the Armed Services Art Partnership, right? Or ASAP. So
Mhm.
great organization that you actually are sending some of your proceeds to. That's awesome. Don't be afraid of that rejection. And if you're not judged by how many times you fall, just keep that in your head. It's how many times you get back up. And I mean, I see you have three different publishers for your books so far, or three publishing houses, or three different publishing places for you. So you obviously went to three different places to get things
Mhm.
done. You had to face that scrutiny to each one of them. So and do it for yourself. Don't just do it because you want likes or numbers sold. Do it for you. So that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and in between every book that I got published was another one that didn't. So, I just kept trying. You keep working on it, and the ones that are meant to come out will come out, and you just got to keep going. Like, the people who fail are the ones who just stop. So,
Right. And well, a lot of people will take that rejection and just end it.
mhm.
And then they'll come back later years in life and they'll say, "Oh man, I should have kept doing this because I know Victoria and she kept going and look how she's doing awesome. She's happy with what she does. I could have done the same thing if I just got back on the floor after I got punched and said I was no good. I thought I was no good at that point. So you just gotta take all the heavy punches from Mike Tyson and come right back at it.
That's right. Exactly. Yep.
And what's a good way for people to get in contact with you if they want to talk like we are, or maybe get you on their show, or just talk to you like, hey, what secrets could you give me to get published?
Yeah, I mean, I always write back. So, I'm on Instagram. I'm at Victoria Kelly Books. My website's really easy to remember. It's victoria-kelly.com. I have my contact info on there. And that will also link up to, where to buy all the books. I mean, they're on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, everywhere that, people buy books. So, so those are the two best places to find me.
And that link is going across the bottom of the screen for those of you watching on the video today on YouTube and or on Rumble later. And it will be in show notes for the audio release when it comes out in May. And I'm also going to put across the bottom of the screen the ASAP link, ASAP app,
Great,
ASAP.org.
Yes.
I just copied and pasted. I thought I pasted it wrong. I had to look back up, but that's the link for that, and I'll put that in the show notes as well. Veterans, spouses, get on there and check it out. It won't hurt to try, and you'll find out better things about yourself. Victoria, any last words for the audience before we call this an evening?
No, I just, want to say thanks for having me, and I love what you do on the show, and I'm just honored to be a part of it.
It's been great chatting with you. Thank you for taking some time with your family tonight to hang out with us. I know you're on the East Coast. It's a little later there. So please keep doing what you're doing. Keep spreading that inspiration through your writing. Let us know when the next one comes out. We get you back on here and hang out with us and tell us about that.
Great. Thank you so much. I will.
Have a good night.
You too.
This is a message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Got a question about your VA benefits, healthcare, or eligibility? Go to va.gov, where you can access a new interactive chatbot to ask questions 24/7. One can still browse va.gov for information, but you can now ask specific questions to the chatbot, like what's the PACT Act? How do I apply for disability benefits? What's my claim status? You can access the new feature through va.gov's Contact Us page. Then click on the Start Chat button. The chatbot will continue to improve veterans' access to information about the benefits and services they've earned. This is one way VA is offering seamless and secure access to its online resources.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation Show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.